It's a beautiful Thursday morning here in Lagos. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the program. I'm Nifemi Oguntoye. Our attention is turned to Edo State this morning. The political atmosphere there is gathering momentum, and that started since INEC released its timetable for the governorship election last year. We've seen the number of aspirants rise rapidly as they intensify consultations ahead of party primaries slated for next month. By the way, I had my NYSC service in Benin, and I was privileged to work there for some 3 years thereabout. And Edo people are quite friendly and warm. And for sure, they're also very active politically. You saw what happened in 2020, right? And then how Labour Party also won the presidential election there last year. Some have now predicted a three-horse race among the major political parties, the ruling PDP, the opposition APC, and the Labour Party, which has a senatorial seat and 2 seats in the House of Representatives. But the parties must first survive the first hurdle with the primary elections, which will be potentially challenging with a rising number of aspirants. So the race to the Dennis Osadebe Avenue Government House in Benin City has started. And my guest this morning is the former Minister of State for Budget and National Planning in the last administration. He was a 2-time commissioner in Edo State under the Governor Oshiomhole administration. And just yesterday, he purchased his expression of interest in nomination forms to contest the governorship primary election of the APC in Edo State. Prince Clem Agba joins us on the program this morning. Thank you for joining us, Prince.
Thank you, Nifemi, for having me.
All right, let's begin with the political dimension to what's happening in Edo State. This is perhaps the first time in the history of governorship election there that the number of aspirants would have grown to well over 62 among the main parties. The number for your party is also soaring by the day. The last count was 20. What do you make of this unprecedented rise in number this year?
Yeah, I think it's something that is very good for our people, having a variety of choices, to a variety of opportunities or people to make your choices. So like they say, the more the merrier. I think what is important is the ability of our people to choose one that they know has the requisite experience and has the proven ability or quality to be able to identify and work with partners and stakeholders. The important thing is being able to move our state forward.
Now, they say you were the first APC aspirant to pick the expression of interest and nomination forms. It was done on your behalf by a former Attorney General of the state. Were you trying to prove a point by diving in first? You know that scripture that says, whoever steps in after the water was stirred by an angel will be healed and made whole.
Like I believe in planning. And they say when you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. And so once we saw the timetable, we had a plan to say we will go there and show that we are serious about this, that we mean business, and we had to go and pick the form. I think that the best way to start is to start.
Many of whom seem to have more experience than you in primary elections of this nature. There's a former governor, present and past members of the National Assembly, and then there's Pastor Eze-Iyamu, who's gotten the ticket twice now. What do you think are your chances against these heavyweights?
I think that my chances are very, very bright. I also feel that I'm a heavyweight. I have been involved in the process before with others, not as a person, but I've worked with others, including the pastor that you mentioned about. I think I have enough experience in this process, having worked at the state and also at the federal level.
Let's talk about zoning. I'm sure you're following, developments in that regard. An official of your party did say last year that APC will prioritize capacity over zoning. But there's also a growing advocacy for Edo Central to produce the next state governor. So they say if Edo South has had 16 years, the North 8 years, Edo Central only produced a governor for 1 year and 7 months since 1999, that it's only fair it returns there this time. Do you agree that the ASAN people have been grossly marginalized in this regard?
Thanks, Nifemi, for asking this very important question. But you see that when you come to equity, you have to come with clean hands. In the first place, our party constitution does not talk about zoning. So it's not one of the rules that we should follow. Secondly, the statistics you just read out is that Edo North has had it for 8 years, Edo South has had it for 16 years, and then Edo Central just 18 months. I don't think that is quite correct. What is correct is that Edo South has produced 4 governors for the state, civilian governors. Edo Central has produced 2 civilian governors for the state, Professor Ambrose Ali and Professor Osubo. And Edo North has only produced 1, which is His Excellency Senator Comrade Adams Oshiomhole. So when you look at it from that perspective and you want to talk about marginalization, of course, it means that Edo North is the one that has been marginalized. And I think that political appointments go beyond governorship. If you look at the ministerial appointments in the state since 1999, there have been about 9 ministers. Of these, about 5 have come from Edo Central, 3 from Edo South, and 2 from Edo North. Of the 2, I am the first to be a minister from Edo North. So when you look at it from this perspective, you really see that it's Edo North that has been marginalized. However, the issues at stake go beyond where one comes from. The state is currently in a mess, and it's everyone that is suffering it, whether it's Edo South, Edo Central, or Edo North. What we need at this time is someone with capacity, someone with the necessary experience, someone who understands the state to be able to bring back our state to a trajectory of growth. In terms of relationship, for instance, I am from Edo North, my parents are. I am married from Edo South. I did my tertiary education in Edo Central. Aside from this, my immediate elder brother is married from Edo Central, so I have a relationship with Edo Central. So I am not going to marginalize any part of the state, because if I do, I have people from each part of the state that would have access to me and would be able to speak to me to say, this is something that you are not doing. But more importantly, I think it's how to get our state back, how to ensure that our people are happy, how to alleviate the issues of poverty, how to ensure that our educational system is good, is effective, how to ensure that there are teachers in our schools. We require health facilities across the 192 political wards. I think that is what is important for our people. Those who are living in the rural areas need potable drinking water. It doesn't matter who gets there, whether it's from the north, the south, or the central, but the person who is able to ensure that potable water, drinking water gets to all the nooks and crannies of the state. How do we handle environmental matters and ensure that there is good sanitation? I think these are the issues that are important and not zoning.
I like the way you've analyzed it, particularly talking about the number of governors that have been elected across the zones. But, there are others who do not agree with you. Some, indeed, have said that APC aspirants from Edo North should be appeased to drop their ambition for now. So when you mention that political appointments, go beyond governorship, they've also brought out a list of the newly appointed Minister of Niger Delta, who is from Edo North, same as the majority leader in the House of Reps. And there's Honorable Peter Patterson from Akoko Edo, who's also a ranking member in the House of Representatives. But my question really is whether you're concerned about the possibility that the leadership of your party might be looking towards supporting an Edo Central aspirant this time, given this pronounced sentiment along this line?
I am glad that you say these are sentiments, and these sentiments are coming from Edo Central. And I'm sure you also know that this is not our area of strength in my party, the APC. The Central is the PDP stronghold. And when you say that the current minister of Niger Delta is from Edo North, the immediate past minister of health was from Oredo, the same local government as the current governor. And he was there for 8 years, going through the 2 terms of the governor. Same thing happened when Professor Oshiomhole was also governor. The minister then was also from Edo Central. So I don't see what is new now, or what is different. We've always had it like this. And like I said earlier on, those who should have been the ones complaining of marginalization, it's Edo North, because we've only had 1 governor and 2 ministers.
So to have your ambition fulfilled, constitutionally, you have to get the nod of your party. It means you must win, the primary election to be able to contest. The big question is, what if you lose the primary? Will you stay with the APC or join another party?
I have never joined any other party. I have been with this party from the beginning, and I will continue to remain with the party. And with my moving around, reaching out to our party stakeholders, I do believe that I'll win, and I'm focused on winning.
So what if you don't win? That's my question.
I will win. I am sure, because I know that I have the requisite experience, to win. I've been able to develop a lot of relationship across the state. I am not planning to lose. I am planning to win.
Some would say politicians are the most optimistic, people in the world. But many have also said that the ability of your party leadership to manage the aftermath of this primary, particularly the discontent that will be coming from losers, will determine to a large extent the electoral fortunes of the APC at the forthcoming election. Do you think your party can weather what seems an impending storm, seeing what it's been through?
I think the leadership of our party, they are very, very experienced. It's not a new party. And I do not foresee any danger in the party going astray. At the end of the day, we are one family. We know that there is 1 seat that is available, and there's only 1 person that is going to get it. And when that happens, we will all cling together. The important thing is that we take the leadership of our state back to us from PDP.
When you say from PDP, that's an interesting way to put it, because the governor and the deputy, you probably worked for them in 2016, when they were contesting under your party. What has changed? Is it a function of party affiliation or the performance of the outgoing government?
What has changed is the performance of the outgoing government. Promises that were made have not been kept. And most of the things that we are told have been done cannot be seen and cannot be touched. Some, like people will say, are MOUs, and majority are EDs and EDAT. I think that Edo people want to see things that they can touch and feel and know that government is working. Like I've said in some fora, most of the schools in Edo State do not have teachers. How is education going to be qualitative when you find that schools have 2.5 teachers administering the entire school? So those are the things that need to change. And then when you look at infrastructure, They are not available. Even the few roads that have been built around Benin, a lot of them do not have drainages. They are all going away and being washed away with the first rainfall. And the drainages that were built by the previous government of Adams Oshiomhole are not being maintained. They are all silted up and they are not being cleaned. When it rains for 3 minutes now in Benin, the whole place is flooded. So there is a need to have a change. We want to have teachers in our schools so that we have the true Edo-based education. We want to have hospitals around, albeit whether they are primary healthcare centers, across the 192 political wards. A situation where one has to drive 4 to 5 hours to get to an hospital is wrong. All that needs to change. I think that our people have a right to have portable drinking water, because if you continue to take water that is not portable, the propensity of having a lot of illnesses will be high. It means we need more doctors and nurses and hospitals. Like you say, prevention is better than cure. So I think that these are rights of our people to have access, to quality education, to have access to basic health care, to have access to portable drinking water, sanitation, and a good standard of living.
You mentioned that when it rains in Edo or in Benin, it floods. Some 2 years ago, the governor threw that back to the former governor of the state, Oshiomhole, when he raised, a probe of a 30 billion naira stormwater project, which I believe you also are aware of, given the role you played as commissioner in that state. Is that something you can blame on this administration and not that of Oshiomhole, which you participated in?
Yeah, definitely I will blame this administration. There was a stormwater master plan that was put in place. It took 12 months of study. And that study showed that there are 23 watersheds in Edo, rather in Benin City. And the comrade Adams Oshiomhole's government had worked on 6 of those watersheds. And they were working on one of the biggest, which is the Owelu West and Owelu East watershed. That's the one that was the 30.4 billion contract. And that job, at the time Comrade Adams Oshiomhole left office, was 70% completed. The president came and commissioned the completed part of it because it went beyond building drainages. The Adams Oshiomhole's administration believed in holistic infrastructural development. So when it goes into an area and is fixing the flooding problem, he will do primary drains, secondary drains, the road, walkways. He will green the area and provide street lighting. That particular contract had about 8 kilometers of underground drains. And these were box culverts, double cell. The entire Igbenaduwa Street, for instance, was underground, and there was a road on top. That was completed. The Siloko Road up to Channel 55 was dualized and made 6 lanes. It was completed, with street lighting and the side drains. So there were 11 roads in that particular area. Since Comrade Adams Oshiomhole left office, no additional work has been done on that area. And this is the main tributary to Agba River, which takes 3/4 of the flood in Benin to the final watershed, which is Agba River. So we have a lot to blame the current government for. And Ifemi, I'll tell you, when you buy a brand new car, do you maintain it? After a couple of months, you have to change the oil, you have to change the plugs. Drains are like that. They have to be maintained, especially where you have a city where all the roads have not been paved. So it means that you are going to have a lot of silt going into the drains. So if you do not clean them up, then you have flooding. When these drains were constructed by Adams Oshiomhole's administration, it took care of the flooding in those areas, like the Tom Line areas, for instance, the 5 junction that used to be flooded for almost 20-something years, that has underground drains. Sapler Road was dualized and drains provided. But all of these areas I mentioned now, when it rains, it gets flooded. The drains are still there. But it's just that they are filled up with silt. So the governor or the government needs to desilt them. And it's not something that is rocket science. It is not expensive to do.
I hear you, Prince. By the way, in case the viewers are wondering, Prince Agba was a former commissioner for environment and public utilities in Edo State under Governor Oshiomhole's administration. But you can't also just wish away the power of incumbency. We've seen how that play out in elections. The PDP, for instance, benefited from the infighting in APC in 2020. Is your party counting on the infighting within the PDP this time, between the governor and his deputy and also the legacy group?
Our party is counting on the failure of the current PDP government in Edo State. Our party is counting on the fact that the promises that were made by this government have not been fulfilled. Our party is counting on the fact that we have done it before and we have the capability to do it. So their infighting is something that is up to them. It's good for us, but we are focused on the ball to take over governance in Edo State.
Some 3 weeks ago, when you met with the state executives of the APC in Benin, someone actually referred to you as Oshiomhole Jr. How do you feel about the strong perception that the former governor is your godfather? You saw what happened with the person he supported in 2016. His choice was also rejected in 2020.
I don't understand what you mean by godfather. The fact that you have a relationship with someone who was your boss, does it now mean that you shouldn't aspire? The fact that you are qualified to run for a job, you have to run for a job when you are hated by others. I think that what people need to speak to is my person and to ask, is he capable of doing this job or not? Have you seen Comrade Adams Oshiomhole come out and point hand at any individual so far to say that this is the person that he's supporting? I have been on the road. I've gone through the 18 local government areas. If I was depending on the godfather, I would sit at home and wait to be appointed. I know that this is an elective business. That is why I'm reaching out and I'm letting the people know the program that I have and how I want to change our state. I think that is what is important. And that if there are opponents who see anything wrong in my candidature in terms of my person, they should focus on that and leave out third parties. I haven't brought in Comrade Adams Oshiomhole in this, in all I've been doing. But am I happy to have been associated with him? Yes. Did he work well as a governor? Yes. So what is wrong in having worked for him? A couple of others who are also aspiring for this position worked for him. They are close to him. So why is he not being godfather to them? So I think that these are irrelevant. People should concentrate and focus on the ball and tell people, the Edo State people, what they want to do, rather than just focus on some flimsy excuses.
But how significant would you say his support will be for you to emerge as candidate of the APC in the forthcoming primary election?
He is the father of the party and he has remained neutral. And he will continue to remain neutral, I believe.
All right, we're going to take a short break. Prince Clem Agba is a former minister for budget and national planning under the previous administration of President Buhari. He's also an APC aspirant for the Edo State governorship election that has now been slated for September this year. When we return, we'll open the phone lines and touch on the issues of the economy and all the burning issues in that part of the country. Stay with us, everyone. Our attention is turned to Edo State this morning. Who takes over from Governor Obaseki? We understand that he's allegedly sponsoring a different candidate from his deputy. We had an exclusive with the deputy governor earlier this year on TVC News, and he made that very clear that he may not be getting his principal support. But the number of the aspirants have risen to well above 60, and they say perhaps, you heard from my guest saying it is good for democracy, and perhaps it's also going to make the process, more encompassing in the coming days. Prince Clem Agba is an APC aspirant and former minister of Budget and National Planning. Thank you for staying the course of the program. Let's talk about a little bit of Edo economy. Your state ranks 5th in the states with the highest increase in debt between 2015 and 2022. We saw the debt profile jump from 79 billion to well over 220 billion naira. How do you intend to fund your own developmental agenda if you become governor without further plunging the state into more debt?
Nifemi, at this time, I must say that I'm really not prepared to go into the details of what I'm going to do. We are yet to go through the primaries, and I shouldn't be letting out the cat out of the bag. One of the things I've basically said is that I would pursue a trust agenda, which is transforming our rural and urban spaces together. I think that at the appropriate time, we will go into those details when I come out with my manifesto, and that will be after getting the ticket of the party.
There are quite a number of people who want to be governor, so I understand if you're hiding your card for now. But George has called in from Ikeja. Good morning, George.
Good morning, Ifemi. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can. But you might have to speak a little louder. All
right. Then your guest said a number of things. I will just take two of them. One, he said his party doesn't have it in their constitution about rotation, and that the governorship position in the state has gone around the 3 senatorial districts, and that only his own has 1 slot. So as his justification for saying that his zone should be given the governorship slot. Number one, the APC as a party, at the presidential level, they do rotation. It was in the north during the Buhari era. They decided that it will now come to the south. And they've already decided that after this one, the presidency will go back to the north, even if it was not written in their constitution. Is that not rotation? Then he also said that the Edo Central has got 2 governorship slots. The governorship tenure of Professor Osumbo, in law, he wasn't a governor. The court nullified his governorship election. So as far as the law is concerned, he has not been a governor of the state. Then the Edo Central has been agitating that they should be given, and he also said that because of the voting population is not in Edo Central, therefore, those other zones where the voting population lies should continue to have the governorship. That's the understanding I had. But that is not fair.
All right, Judge. Let me allow my guest react to your position. Prince, you want to react to that quickly?
Okay. Yes, I will start with the third point he made. He's trying to put words in my mouth. I did say that Edo Central is not a stronghold for APC. I didn't mention about the voting, the population. And then he talked about an agreement of rotation of presidency between the North and the South. I wonder whether he was there when that agreement was made. But you will see that in the course of the last presidential primaries of APC, We had people from all over the country. The immediate past Senate president is from the north. He went through the process. It's just that he lost. So there was no rotational arrangement that was done. The current president won through the primaries. And that was it. It wasn't based on the fact that there was a rotation.
Ibrahim has called in from Kaduna. Good morning, Ibrahim. Ibrahim, are you there? Well, we'll probably get back to that phone. Perhaps we can have someone call in from Edo. It will be good to hear from your people, right, Prince? But I understand that you are keeping your cards, yes, your cards close to your chest. But there are also issues happening in Edo.
Ibrahim is around. Ibrahim from Kaduna.
Oh, please, yes.
Hello?
If you are there, go ahead, Ibrahim. You're live now.
Hello, Doc. Yes, good morning, my uncle man, and good morning to your guests over there. In fact, I was so impressed to see this case again because if I could remember vividly, he's the former minister for state for whatsoever. Well, he's one of those that want to contest in Edo. To me, the way I want democracy to thrive in this country is like it's not going in that way. Hello, am I communicating?
Well, with you, Ibrahim, go ahead, please.
Democracy must thrive, not by year and year. Let everybody have a playground, a clean playground, so that whenever anyone that I might, they should support. Now, I can say that, yes, we are trying to get it right in this present administration. Now, for the explanation he gives so far, and whatsoever, in everything that we do, we must try to get it right from this present government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because sometimes, I don't know, I keep on asking myself and others, is this type of democracy we are practicing, is it the way we practice in other places? If it's yes, how? And if it's no, why? That is my question. Now, Mr. Hankoma, I have a question for you to ask our guest here. Is that now, what really is missing that whenever he's able to get there, that is going to fix it all? Because why? Democracy will cover it, because by the time he elected as a governor, he's not a governor from one zone or ethnic, but the governor of the entire state. And he must govern and govern well. Because why we always have problems within the when we have problems in internal democracy in this country from the grassroots is because of marginalization.
All right.
And marginalization will not continue going like this, and we say we are going to get it right. Now, let them put everything in the right pedestrian, so that those that will come before them will be able to build up from that.
I think you made your point very clear, Ibrahim. Thank you for your contribution. He just asked you another question. I don't know if you want to answer that about what you've identified that you will be doing differently.
Yeah, of course, I would like to answer that. I did say as I went around the 18 local governments that I want to transform our rural and urban spaces together. When we did the National Development Plan, one thing that was very clear to us as a problem in the country is that most governors were focusing on the city centers to the total abandonment of the rural areas of their state. And if you look at the current inflation rate, for instance, for Edo State, it's 26.6%. I took a cursory look recently at the food inflation for Edo. The food inflation for Edo is currently 33.5%. I also looked at the consumption pattern for Edo, and what it shows is that 55.9%, which is almost 56%, goes to food. The other one is fuel and power, and then education. And when for these other ones, it is 14.9, 14.3, and then 14% telecom. So if we have a state like Edo that is really agrarian, and food is so expensive, yet 60% of what is produced goes to waste, that's post-harvest loss, which is a low-hanging fruit because of lack of access to the market. And you have that lack of access to the market because development is only in the city center, especially Benin. You know, you look at the entire Edo South area, you only find development in Benin City. Abudu, So many years ago when I went to Abudu was an urban area, but today Abudu is becoming a village. So what is changing for me is taking development across the entire state, ensuring that there is access to market for our food production, so that whatever is produced can get to the market, and this food inflation that we have will go down. And doing that is also solving the problem of inflation. Secondly, our farmers will no longer labor in vain, because for every 10,000 tons of food they produce, only 4,000 gets to the market. You know, so once we begin to build roads to the rural areas around the agro corridors, we ensure that there is off-grid power, that's captive power that is provided for these areas. You are going to be able to attract cottage industries to those areas, storage facilities for those areas, aggregators to those areas, and that will greatly affect the inflation rate for food in the state. And it will spread development across. It's also going to take care of the rural-urban migration, which is currently really very high. But aside from that, I did also mention that our schools must have teachers, because the current situation where we don't have teachers in the school is not good for qualitative education. We have colleges of education, like College of Education, Igweben. Currently, there are only 33 students in such a big school. When I went there 2 weeks ago just to check, I was told because they don't get employment. They should be employed by the state, especially where we don't have teachers. These are the things that need to change.
I hear you,
we are not saying that we will abandon development in Benin,
yes,
but we are saying that while we are developing Benin City, which is the state capital, at the same time, we will be spreading development to the rural areas. It must go together simultaneously. That is the thing that would be different.
Let's hear from Yakub. He's been waiting for a while. Yakub has called in from Dokpemu. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And good morning to your guests. I think to me, what I want to contribute this morning is that, yes, your guest has spoken and then has spoke very well. But I think you should give the same platform to the other aspirants. Because I have one of them, even though all of them, they are okay. But I think Kasim Afegba is also in the race. I don't make a mistake. Give all of them a level playing field to show what they had for Edo citizens. Because your guest has spoke very well, and then I think he know what he really wants to do when if he become the governor of that state. And then, by extension, I think APC has a great chance to win that state. I stand to be corrected, because in this country, Edo State is the fourth state I've ever seen in this country that does not allow the majority of House of Representatives of that very particular state, in terms of State House of Representatives, to sit in that house and then be able to do the business of the house. The governor prevented them, even though they were in the majority as at that time. I don't know, maybe the status quo have been changed now. I stand to be corrected. And then the infighting between him and the deputy governor as well. Although what goes round comes round, I don't have any sympathy for the deputy governor, because this is a person that Adams Oshiomhole, and he really helped both of them. Let me say both of them. But APC need to do something quickly. What they need to do now is that all the aspirants that wanted to contest under the platform, they should make sure that they throw it open, giving everybody a playing field, a level playing field. Let them know, if I lose because that the people really don't need me in this time around. And then anybody that wins, so that they can be able to support that very particular person. But a situation where they make sure that they lock some certain people out, and then they continue to go by the business of the day. At the end of the day, they had the primary, and then some people begin to say that there's no primary and all that.
I think you made your point very clearly, Yakub. I'm afraid that's the time. Thank you so much. Well, you also have to know, Yakub, that there are quite a number of them, over 60. So We're going to speak to as many as we can. We had Honorable Ijak Bonaima on the show last week. But, there are also other things happening apart from the Edo election. There's election in Edo State. There is the EFCC case. There are many stories breaking in Nigeria. So we're going to bring them. There are many people we reach out to who have also not given us, a positive response in that regard. But Prince, there have been increased fatalities from court clashes in Edo State. And it's a worrying development. It's been one story of killing to another. That has been the case now for some years. As recent as Christmas Eve last year, a journalist and 3 others were reportedly killed by cultists. What do you think is happening?
Yeah, Nifemi, it's simple. Lack of opportunities for the youth. When you don't get them engaged, then they resort to other issues. And again, this is where trust, my trust agenda comes in. There's a huge influx, of people from the other 15 or so local governments into Benin, and all in search for opportunities that are not available. You can imagine if we are able to stop that drift from the rural areas by providing opportunities for them in the rest of the 15 local government areas. So it is struggle for power, struggle for relevance, struggle for livelihood that is leading to all of this. And we would ensure that we have our youth very much engaged. Like I said to people, when by God's grace I become a governor, we are going to involve not only our youth, but also our women in governance across the states. It's not just going to be left for men. Because when you look at the demography, these people are more. They are vibrant, and we have a lot of intellectuals among them that we can use to do our work. And I'm sure that by the time the youths are gainfully employed or engaged, a lot of this court rift will disappear.
I have a follow-up for you on that, but let's quickly take Elder David's call from Alimosho. Good morning. Elder David, are you there? We'll get back to that. So when you say that cultism is a function of lack of opportunities, where do you put the allegations that the political class have also empowered them during electioneering like this, in helping them to advance, their objectives? And how committed are you to a peaceful conduct during this period?
Yeah, the political group like you are talking about can use them by not providing opportunities. And that's where I come differently. I do not belong to any cult. I am a member of the Eternal Sacred Order of the Cherubim and Seraphim, and I'm in the board of my church. I am a Christian. I do not support cultism in all ramifications. And so when I speak, I am seriously talking about providing opportunities to ensure that all of these are taken care of. It is not in my climb to begin to associate and bring cultists to create disaffection in our state. That's why I'm also coming with a very credible program for our people that resonates with them, whether they live in the cities or they live in the urban areas.
There are talks about how some governments in the past have, one way or the other, empowered them or empower people who identify with them. But perhaps we'll talk about that sometime later. We talked about the PDP earlier, but some are saying that perhaps what the APC should be concerned about in this election is the Labour Party, given the numbers they were able to garner during the presidential election, as well as the number of House of Representatives, and I think they have a seat in the Senate. Is that a concern for your party? Are you also paying attention to the increasing number of people who want to, vie for this position through this platform?
Of course, I am paying a lot of concerns to everything. My party is concerned because we want to win the election. And that is why we are reaching out to one and all. And that is why I'm also coming with a very credible program that carries everyone along. A lot of the youths were disenchanted. And like I've said, my government is going to be made up of youths, women, and men. And we will work with them by creating opportunities everywhere across the state.
Mazi Okorafor has called in from Arochukwu in Abia State. Good morning, Mazi.
Good morning, Mr. Nissen.
Let's go ahead.
My guest. Well, when we talk about Edo, my prayer this morning is that Edo will not turn to Rivers political situation of commotion and confusion. Whether it's PDP or Labour or APC or any party we may call it. The political parties delegates, when they are going to vote, I will advise them to vote for somebody that is coming in to take up and that is to govern the state as a vocation, not like somebody who will come in as a governor to take it as an occupation. Because there are two things. When you have somebody coming in and somebody wants to take up the state as occupation, that is where you see GodFatherism start playing. That is why you see that tribal sentiment start playing. Now, if they have zoned the state for this time of election, I think there is need for the political parties there to make sure that the zoning works very well. Because what I've discovered in the South and Southeast is that when the particular party is short, yes, South and Southeast, Eastern Nigeria, when the political party and South is that when the political party is in the office, the governor or the power committee would like that to go back to that place, which at the end of the day, it doesn't favor the other tribes. When we see what is happening now in Rivers State, Ijo and Ikwere, Ijo and Ogoni, them, Iche, them. Ijo people said it is their own turn. That is issue. Because if you come to the, when I used to do that, if you come down to far north, they play what they call politics. When they say zoning, they know which way, whether it's north or south or central will take.
All right, Mazi.
One area.
I'm afraid that's our time. Thank you so much for your contribution. Prince, we're coasting home now. You've been talking about igniting a fresh approach of bold ideas through your trust agenda. I think you called it transforming the rural and urban spaces together. I just want to ask you a simple question before we go. You've been commissioner, right? You've been, you had a fine career in the oil and gas sector, I guess. And then you were also minister between 2019 and 2023. Did I get the timing right? 2019 and 2023?
Yes, you did.
Beautiful. Why do you want to be governor of Edo State?
Thank you, Nifemi, for this very good question. One of the assignments I was given by the president was to ensure that we have a national development plan and then a perspective plan for the country. And in putting this plan together, the governance structure that we put in place was to ensure that all Nigerians, all shades of Nigerians were represented. That is, the governors, the local government system, the private sector, women, youth, the religious bodies, the civil society organizations, and also labor unions. We produced a plan for the country that was approved by the Governors Forum, approved by the National Economic Council, and also approved by the Federal Executive Council. I am not seeing traction, I am not seeing implementation. I facilitated that plan. I understand some of the things that have been put there. The various binding constraints we have in the country that is militating against growth. So for me, I want to use Edo State as an opportunity to prove that the plan that was put together by Nigeria can work. Because once you put a plan together and you don't implement, then you have just wasted all of the time. One of the things I talked about that led me to the trust agenda is the issue of integrated rural development that was mentioned in the plan. The total neglect of our rural areas, for example. There are no infrastructure of roads, there are no infrastructure of power, no water infrastructure, no health infrastructure. And when we are talking about multidimensional poverty, which is lack of access to education, that's basic education, lack of access to basic health, water, and sanitation, these are responsibilities of subnational government that should be handled by local government and by state governments. And of course, we no longer have local governments. We now have federal and states. So I want to be an example to say that these things can be done. You know, we can provide these amenities for all Nigerians, for all the citizens of Edo State. And once we make Edo State an example by doing, then other states can follow and copy. So that is my motivation for this, because I facilitated a plan that I'm not seeing traction in terms of implementation.
All right. Raised in Edo North, educated in Edo Central, and found love in Edo South. I think you mentioned that your brother also got married to someone in Edo Central. Hopefully, your statewide appeal and your experience, will see you through the APC primary. But we are following your progress very closely here at TVC News, and we want to say a big thank you for joining us for this conversation. Prince Clem Agba, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
That's our show today, everyone. The conversation continues on X, formerly Twitter. Remember to use the hashtag ThisMorning and tag me at Nifemi Oguntoye. See you again tomorrow, God willing.